So welcome to AMICAL 2022. This is AMICAL's 19th annual conference. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us, whether you're joining us as a speaker, as a participant, or as both. And actually, before saying anything else, I'd like to mention that one of the pitfalls of organizing an online event for a largely online consortium is that there's no local team with whom to sort of share the task with remote organizers. So that the workload of organizing the event is automatically shared with the group that's locally on the ground. And so I'd really like to draw attention to the extent, both the extent and the quality of the work that has been invested in organizing this event by one person in particular above everyone else that's been involved. And that's AMICAL's Program and Technology Officer, Alex Armstrong. And so if you don't mind, can you unmute yourselves? And I'd like Alex just to hear us applauding Alex. So if you can unmute yourself and share your
well done, Alex.
Well done.
I'm working insanely hard on this. Alex himself is going to say a few things about the conference structure and program in just a moment, but before he does that, I'd like to say just a few things about how this event relates to AMICAL as an organization. So the AMICAL conference is an annual event where colleagues from member institutions who are interested in these intersections of libraries, technology, and pedagogy come together to build connections with each other and with the future of their work. This is, in any case, what the AMICAL representatives tell us. And if you weren't already aware, each of our member institutions has an AMICAL representative at the institution. Typically, this is the library director, but sometimes it's another role that's concerned with collaborations across libraries, technology, and pedagogy, such as, for example, the Writing Center coordinator in one case. The AMICAL representative acts as a liaison between the consortium and your institution, helping to get the word out on your campus about AMICAL programs and representing you and your institution's interests in consortial discussions, consortial planning, and decision-making. If you're not muted now, by the way, you probably should go ahead and mute yourself. So the AMICAL representatives act as this liaison, and as most of you know, we've been running the AMICAL conference online for the past few years, but we've been starting just recently some initial conversations with the representatives about planning for next year's AMICAL 2023 conference, which we hope and we expect will be face-to-face if all goes well. And so at last week's AMICAL Representatives Forum, we asked the reps, if you had to choose one goal for the AMICAL 2023 conference, what would it be? What would that one goal be? And a number of responses came out, but two strong themes emerged from that discussion about what representatives wanted as their goal above anything else for next year's conference. The two themes that emerged were projecting into the future of learning, technology, and libraries, and rebuilding human connections. And although we were asking the reps about goals for our next face-to-face conference, these themes actually work really well for many of AMICAL's online events as well, including this week's AMICAL 2022 conference. Meanwhile, the strategic planning exercise that many of you are aware of that AMICAL is in the midst of leading also confirms that AMICAL plays this important role in helping members to connect with each other and to learn about trends in their fields. In the interviews that we've been doing essentially that we've done with essentially all of the AMICAL representatives, we asked representatives how their institutions benefited from AMICAL membership. And again, two ideas showed up nearly universally in all of their responses, that colleagues at your institution benefit from AMICAL as a network or community of peers, this idea of the community, the network of peers across the consortium. And they benefit from AMICAL as a source of professional development. The AMICAL conference was originally our only networking professional development event, and it remains one of the principal ways in which we facilitate these things. I believe many of you participate in the AMICAL conference to build these connections with each other, but also to build connections with the future of your work, finding paths forward in a sense. So paths forward that make sense not for an institution off in North America, not for an institution in your own country, but built on a different curricular model. Here at the AMICAL conference, we're helping each other to find paths forward that make sense for our student-focused and highly collaborative library and technology practices, our liberal arts environments for learning and scholarship, and all that that's anchored in and enriched by the many countries and cultures in which we work and teach. So this year's conference program, just to say a few words about this week's program and specifically, this week's conference program will necessarily involve some reflection on the pandemic, how we've managed and how we've re-envisioned teaching, technology, and library services in the face of that, in the context of our own institutions. But we'll also be looking very much forward, including with our keynote speakers, looking forward at what we've looking at what we've learned during the pandemic, but looking forward at what's made possible by digital pedagogy, looking at new ways of engaging students with campus resources like library and learning spaces going forward, and looking at what's particular about this moment of transitioning through various global crises that calls for us to work with students on critical digital literacies like never before. So this week we're building connections with each other and with the future of our work. And I'll pass the mic to Alex at this point, and I hope that you enjoy what he and the rest of the organizers have put together to help you build those connections. Enjoy the conference.
Thank you for those kind words, Jeff, and for that preemptive applause, I suppose. And hello, everyone. It's really great to be here with you today at the opening of AMICAL's annual conference. As Jeff somewhat noted, is we realized last year that online events shouldn't have the same length as face-to-face ones, because online you're not limited to a short amount of time when everyone's available. So this past year, we've really had more AMICAL programming than ever before, but it was spread out across the entire year. Just in the last 3 weeks, we've had one discussion group, one webinar, 2 workshops, and next week we'll be having another workshop and the first session of a training institute on digital oral history. All these events didn't need to be scheduled together in the 3 or 4 days of the conference. So the conference this year is very compact and focused on just 2 goals. The first goal is to invite AMICAL members to showcase their best work and to connect and discuss that work with their peers. We'll be doing this through the community idea exchange sessions each morning at this time. You're here for the first one, and make sure to catch the other 2, as we made sure that there's something valuable for all our members in each day. 2, the other goal that we were aiming for is to invite insightful speakers from outside of the consortium to inspire us and share some of their know-how with us. Each day, a different guest speaker will offer a keynote and then a short workshop on a related topic. Later today, Kathleen Fitzpatrick will be talking about digital pedagogy, and in her workshop, introducing us to the Humanities Commons. Tomorrow's topic, led by Sarah Hutton, will be learning spaces, and in her workshop, she'll share with us how to assess such spaces. On the final day, Catherine Corin will be focusing on critical digital literacies, and she'll lead us into reflecting on our practices. We haven't scheduled any sessions explicitly focused on networking or socializing during the conference, but on the final day, after the last program session, we'll keep the meeting open and hang out for a bit, completely informally, just like we would at the conclusion of a face-to-face event, except in this case, no one has a flight to catch. There's another session happening later today, which Jeff already, I think he mentioned. The AMICAL Open House session invites all members to learn more about the consortium, who we are, what we've got planned for the future, and most importantly, how you can get involved. Come and find out how you can shape AMICAL's activities the next year. Now, before we start with the first program session, I'm going to try and have both notes and screen sharing at the same time, which is tricky for me. All right, let's see. Can I do this? All right, so I would I'd like to say a big thank you to the members of the coordinating committee who helped develop the event, who identified keynote speakers, and much else besides. I'd like to also thank all 44 AMICAL members who will be presenting today and the community idea exchange sessions on subsequent days. The program would be very poor without you. I would also want to share a big thank you to our 3 keynote speakers and workshop facilitators. And finally, a big thank you to the Mullen Foundation, who has provided the funding used to produce this event. And with that, let's get started with a community idea exchange session.